All right, I've got 2 o'clock. So let me first of all just welcome you all here. Thank you so very much for attending today, this important press conference. And I'll just go ahead and get into it, and we'll have you out of here in about 15 or 20 minutes. All right. I've lived here. Most of you know. Many of you that know me know I've lived here almost all of my life, and Springdale is a community where when something happens to some of us, it affects all of us. Our tremendous growth hasn't changed that, and I'm glad it hasn't. Today I want to address the recent events that have occurred in our community and the next steps we're taking together as a city. As you know, over the past 4 weeks, 2 young men, Fabian Rodriguez and Jimmy Rodriguez, were gunned down in senseless acts of violence. To the families of those men, I extend my deepest condolences. You have been and will continue to be in our prayers. These incidents have also alarmed us and disturbed us as a city. But let me first take a moment to commend the Springdale Police Department for their quick work to identify, locate, and arrest those responsible for these tragic killings. The department's swift success in solving these crimes speaks to the professionalism and expertise of Chief O'Kelly and the dedicated men and women in our police force. Make no mistake, we're going to do what it takes to protect the people of this community, no matter where they live, and keep this a safe place for every citizen. When crimes happen, we solve them, we will arrest those responsible, and we will prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. We have done that in this situation and will continue to do it moving forward. From what we know to be true, these incidents are a result of individual conflicts among a small group of people. But because the loss of even one life is one too many, today I want to announce several specific steps the City of Springdale will take to address this situation. First, in the last several weeks, and many of our residents may be aware of this if they watch our council meetings, we've received excellent news regarding the ability to hire 7 new school resource officers, and that's made possible through a federal grant. That is in process now. The addition of these new officers will allow us to strengthen an already overwhelmingly positive program, that's our school resource officers program, that promotes school safety and trust building with students and their families. These officers will also work in the neighborhoods of the schools they serve, extending their positive impact throughout our city. Second, we will continue to seek input from faith and neighborhood leaders, as well as advice from youth violence experts. Some such meetings have already taken place, and we have more to follow. We have some scheduled this week, as a matter of fact. These groups will provide invaluable insight today and in the months ahead. Third, we will continue to identify and implement strategic methods and tactics to address this issue. As I'm sure you can understand, we cannot and will not be at liberty to discuss these specific efforts in public. Finally, I want to announce my intention to seek additional funding from our City Council to allow us to add up to 10 new officers to our police force. Additional officers on patrol, peace officers helping make our neighborhoods safer are needed. This has the support of Chief O'Kelly and various community leaders that I have talked to, and I have every confidence. I can't speak for our council. Half of them are here today, but I have every confidence that we will be able to present a plan to our council that they will wholeheartedly support. Now, allow me to introduce our police chief, Kathy O'Kelly, and for a few short remarks. Kathy.
Well, Mayor, thank you for your kind words, and I will tell you that the feet on the street, the troops, are the ones for the positive results in our investigation, and I thoroughly enjoy the idea of hearing about 10 new officers. Let me first say, back in 2006, we acknowledged that we had a growing presence of gangs in our communities and took steps to deal with it. During that particular news release, I also discussed that the solution to the problems presented by this activity did not rest with the police response alone. that it took the power of a community to make a difference. What's happening tonight with the Peace March? Local citizens standing up and saying, we're not going to tolerate this anymore, I think is evidence that that seed has been planted and that citizens are going to stand up. And I will tell you from past experience, the efforts of grassroots leaders whose outreach represents principles of mutual respect and personal responsibility have the greatest opportunity at succeeding. And I look forward to seeing what happens as a result of tonight's events. I would also like to say that a sudden increase in youth violence in a small geographic area, a neighborhood, does not in and of itself mean that violence is spreading throughout the community and that it's imminent in happening. The thing that you have to understand is that on the very basic level, youth violence related to groups around neighborhood alliances is localized in nature. It follows a pattern of upturns and downswings, and it's mostly grounded in the general conflict between those two opposing groups and how they feel individually about one another and as a group about one another. In this particular case, we're not faced with an issue of criminally organized gangs. We are faced with troublesome youth and their deviant behavior. Most importantly, and something everybody needs to remember, is we cannot arrest our way out of this situation. The best prevention starts on the front end, through intervention and prevention, rather than trying to deter it on the back end through punishment. Now, as for the question, what are we doing about this? The Springdale Police Department is taking a neighborhood-based approach through the geographic deployment of officers into neighborhoods to address these issues. You can think of it as a weed and seed program. It is not like what happens with urban revitalization, such as what's going on here in downtown development. You're simply taking a place that has vacant buildings, open spaces, which often attract violence and crime, and you're turning it around. You're bringing in new opportunities. You're revitalizing it. You're changing the culture of that organization and its purposes. That's what we're going to do in the communities. We plan to focus on engaging these communities and using problem-solving approaches to tackle problems that they identify that are important to them. In turn, we hope to build trust among those residents so that they will be informed, they will be organized, and they will be willing to call 911. We will continue to deploy our officers in directed patrols specifically to address the issues that happen in communities with youth violence. We will also redeploy our crime suppression unit with added tools for intelligence analysis. We will continue to work directly with the schools to keep our children safe and to educate kids through gang resistance education training and other youth initiatives. We also plan to improve our efforts and increase our efforts in enforcing and removing those who would choose to sell and distribute narcotics in our city. This activity in and of itself has more impact on our property crime and crimes against persons than any other activity in the city. And it's often the very gateway that introduces the kids that we are talking about here today into a criminal lifestyle. We will enhance our trail patrols and ensure that all residents feel safe when walking our greenway. We, as a group, can absolutely not fall victim to the fear of crime. And it's neighborhoods that have to stand up together, be prepared to report what they hear, what they see, and what they believe. What we plan to do is empower those residents to have that confidence to come forward and to deal with us directly and to make this a better city. Thank you, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Chief O'Kelly. As parents and grandparents, we have a special and obvious concern for the children in our community. The harsh reality is that these street gangs begin recruiting members in elementary school. I'm sure I don't have to remind you that tragically one of those arrested in the April 11th shooting was a 13-year-old child. The city of Springdale, you know, we pride ourselves continually on our partnerships, and we've got great ones, and many of them are represented standing right here behind me. But the city of Springdale and the Springdale Police Department could ask for no greater partner in addressing these issues than the Springdale School District. And with that said, I've asked Dr. Jim Rollins, our Superintendent of Schools, to say a few words about how our school district is serving the needs of our community. Dr. Rollins.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. I want to join the mayor and our chief in thanking each of you for being here. Our Springdale school system serves more than 22,000 kids today. Children come to us from all over the world, and we are honored to serve each of them. It's been a privilege for me over time to represent our 1,600 plus teachers, our 900 plus support personnel, in making this statement. It makes no difference to us whether a child comes from across the street or across the ocean. When they get to our schoolhouse door, they are one thing. They are our children. That's the way our staff addresses each child that we're privileged to serve. The message I want to send from our teachers and principals today, and I hope I can convey it very clearly, the staff of the Springdale school system is doing and will continue to do all that we know how to serve each of our children at the highest levels. We've had a long-standing mission in our school system, and we cloak it this way: to teach them all to proficient and advanced levels. We really only ask one thing in return. We expect our citizens, our children, to be very good citizens at school and in their community, and our teachers propagate that understanding every day. We've known for a long time that we can't do this work by ourselves. In Springdale, we've never had to, because moms and dads stand shoulder to shoulder with us. Our business leaders, our Chamber of Commerce stand shoulder to shoulder with us, and certainly our mayor and our police department are there as full partners with us every day. I want to convey just some of the things that we have tried to put in place and will continue to try to put in place and deepen, and with your input, expand. We have strong school community partnerships in every school. As a matter of fact, over 150 of our business leaders work with our 30 schools, and those partnerships are distributed equally so that every child, every teacher, and every school feels that community support. We've developed a family literacy program that has been acknowledged as one of the very finest in the nation. We have families, as I've said, moving here from all over the world. Those families are coming and learning a new culture, a new way of life, and they need a support system. They need an understanding as to how communities work. Each year now, for the last 7 or 8 years, we've graduated 250 to 300 moms and dads, many of them ELL moms and dads from this program. Moms and dads come into our schools, they sit side by side with their children, they learn together, they grow together as a family, and you can imagine as a result of that process, some of our greatest advocates are Hispanic moms and dads who work with our teachers and principals in this family literacy setting. I think many of you know that we have very strong school community liaisons working in our schools. They work on a daily basis to build relationships with newcomers, moms and dads, etc. Mr. Al Lopez, who's in the audience today. Al, where are you?
Thank you, Dr.
Al and DJ Torres, great young men who really give of themselves every day to try to build relationships with our schools and connect moms and dads to the learning. You've heard our mayor and our police chief reference the School Resource Officer Program. That is a phenomenal partnership that really adds enormous security to our schools. You see our mayor and our police chief working to expand those programs, and that will only make our schools and frankly our communities safer places. And the last piece, and something I would encourage everyone in the audience to think with us about, we need to be creating more and more things for our young people to say yes to. That has been a long-standing mission. We've made enormous progress in that. Virtually every school has after-school initiatives. But keep in mind that our goal is to teach them all, to reach every child. So our efforts to do that, we would welcome your input in thinking about new and expanded initiatives that really gives us a chance to accomplish that very thing. Despite these exemplary efforts, all of us realize today that we have a challenging problem. And you see, again, our city officials and our schools working in partnership together and inviting each of you to join in that effort to help us get better and better. Springdale is a growing community. Over time, we've faced many problems. And as a community, united together, we figured out how to address those problems. We will do the same thing here. As a community, working together, we will solve this problem. Every Springdale citizen, every educator, and every community leader will be a part of that solution. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Springdale way. Mayor Sprouse, members of the City Council, Chief O'Kelly, members of our Springdale Police Department, certainly our Chamber of Commerce and our business leaders. From our school's perspective, we say thank you for the enormous leadership that you provided over time and for the leadership that you're providing today in terms of addressing this issue. Our school board and the staff of the Springdale school system look forward to working with each of you in addressing this issue and creating the partnerships that will continue to take Springdale forward. It will take all of us investing together to both produce and sustain the community of excellence that we all treasure. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rollins. I got to say, we're wrapping this up, but it's encouraging to see so many here today to support our city. You out there and also the folks behind me represent the sort of broad-based community support that's vital to successfully addressing this kind of violence. So I want to thank each of you for your support and commitment to the city of Springdale. In particular, I want to just briefly acknowledge Irvin Camacho. Irvin, wave, right here behind me. And for his efforts, Chief O'Kelly briefly referenced the Peace Walk tonight, and that's something that Irvin has with his friends have worked on, and it's going to be a great event. And those are the kinds of things that help bring our community together. So Irvin, thank you very much for doing that. We're a city pushing 80,000 people. We consistently lead the state in job creation. We have good news almost daily in our city. Great things going on. But with that expansion and growth come new challenges. That's not just true of Springdale, but of every growing city. Successful communities are those that come together to identify solutions and resolve their problems and create opportunity for all. Fact is, we're making progress again in many areas. Springdale remains one of the safest cities in Arkansas. People continue to relocate here. We have an excellent quality of life and abundant economic and educational opportunities. Our region is the envy of people from not only around Arkansas, but around the country and beyond. But no matter how strong a community is, it must be continually and carefully nurtured. And as I've said before, we will not allow our city to be defined by the actions of a few. As we are demonstrating here today the steps we've outlined, we are utilizing every available resource and acquiring new ones to take care of this problem. Again, let there be no misunderstanding. Criminal activity will not be tolerated in this city, and we will continue to act swiftly and aggressively to deal with it. Now, on a more personal note, I am overwhelmed by the great show of support for our city that has poured out as a response to these tragic events. Our commitment to peace and justice will serve us well in the days ahead. And in closing, on a very personal note, I'm not a preacher or the son of a preacher, as the old saying used to go. But I do know this. I know that God has a purpose for every life. And the people behind me and the people in this room are the ones that help communicate to a generation that is in dire need of knowing that they matter. And folks, that's the answer. That's the long-term answer. We'll catch the people. We'll put the people in jail. But the people around in this room are the ones who can do what God has intended for all of us to do, and that's to make a positive difference in the lives of others. We've got a prayer breakfast coming up in about just over 2 weeks. 6th Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. This isn't a commercial for it. But I'm going to tell you, we don't have to wait 2 weeks to start praying about this. I've got a group of men that pray with me every Tuesday morning for the people of this city, and have since I became mayor 6 years ago. Prayer is not a desperate last resort to find a solution. Prayer is the first step in finding a solution. And I am confident that the city of Springdale will join me as we pray for certainly our police, our schools, but every person, whether it's a pastor, whether it's a leader, Mike Foner here with youth strategies. We've got groups here that so much of Springdale, they don't have any idea these great things are going on. But pray for these folks, that they will impact the lives of others. And that's our answer. You know, prayer's the first thing we should do. Pray why Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. So thank you again. Thanks to everyone here. Thanks to the great city of Springdale and the great days ahead. And we'll work together as a community to solve this problem that we've experienced over the last month. We are not going, all the speakers and probably anyone else up here will be happy to hang around as long as you all need to answer your questions. So with that, we'll be dismissed formally and we'll be here in the room. Okay? Thank you very much.